There are 6 cookies on a plate. If Joe eats 4 of the cookies, then how many cookies are left? In order to determine this amount, we need to subtract 4 from 6. So that is, we start with 6 cookies, and then we remove 4 of them, and what we have left are 2 cookies. So by looking at the cookies, we can see that there would be 2 left. So 6 cookies minus 4 cookies equals 2 cookies. Or, simply put, 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. Notice that we can also say that 2 plus 4 is 6. That's because addition and subtraction are what's called inverse operations, and in a sense they undo each other. That is, if you start with a number, you add 6, and then subtract 6, you're back to where you started. The numbers in a subtraction problem have special names. The first number is called the minuend, and the number being subtracted is called the subtrahend. The result, or the answer, is called the difference. So, unlike addition, where several numbers can be added together at once, in subtraction, only 2 numbers can be dealt with at a time. However, like subtraction, it is easiest to line up numbers vertically in columns according to their place value. That is, the ones should line up together, the tens should line up together, the hundreds, the thousands, and so on. So, for example, if I want to do 765 minus 34, I would line it up like this, where the 5 and the 4 are lined up in the ones, and then the rest of the numbers to the left. So starting with the ones column, you subtract. So 5 minus 4 is 1, 6 minus 3 is 3, and then what's left? 7 minus nothing is 7. You could check the answer by reversing into an addition problem, and you find that 731 plus 34 is back to 765, so the answer checks. However, sometimes subtracting numbers involves what is known as borrowing. This happens when the lower digit is greater than the upper digit in the same column. So when you borrow, what you do is you take 1 unit from the column on the left and add it, and basically it ends up adding 10 to that column. So if you're subtracting in the ones column and you need to borrow, you look to the tens column. If you're working with the tens column, you need to borrow, you go to the hundreds. It goes on like that. So looking to the left when you need to borrow. When you do borrow, you only borrow a 1 from that place, and then you subtract 1 from that number you borrowed. You're then really only borrowing an extra 10 for your subtraction problem. So in this example here, we start off with 8 minus 1 is 7. Okay, that's not a problem. And then the next one over, I started out with 2 minus 5, so that doesn't work. And that's why I take away 1 from the 7, give me 6, and I turn that 2 into a 12. And then what I'm left in the hundreds column is 6 minus nothing, or 6. So that's how I ended up with 677. So, a couple examples. 683 minus 346. I'll need to borrow right away, so 3 minus 6 isn't going to work. So I'm going to take away 1 from the 8 and add 10 to that 3. So now it becomes 13 minus 6, which is 7. 7 minus 4 is 3, and 6 minus 3 is 3. Next one, 6003 minus 468. Okay, so I'll need to borrow, but I can't borrow from the tens. I can't borrow from the hundreds, so I need to borrow from the thousands. And that moves 10 over to the hundreds place. Now I can borrow from the hundreds, and that moves 10 over to the tens place. Now I can borrow from the tens, and I have 13 now in the ones place. So I start off with 13 minus 8, which is 5. And then I'll do 9 minus 6, which is 3. Then 9 minus 4 is 5. And then 5 minus 0. So 6003 minus 468 is 5,535.